This is Weather or Not.
All right, happy Friday, everybody. Weather or Not Friday edition. The work week is done.
Yeah, we're finally saying goodbye to the clouds and gloomy weather. Still going to be cool as we head into that weekend.
Yeah, let's jump into the top three things we are tracking here on this Friday. And yes, we are talking about a beautiful fall weekend that is coming up. Plenty to do to get outside and enjoy. And of course, we're also keeping an eye on Sarah down there in the Caribbean. Let's talk about those temperatures this weekend, though. Starting off with tomorrow, another beautiful day for Saturday, sunshine. And yeah, this is pretty easy. 66, 65, 64-ish. Looking like a good Saturday.
And plenty of sunshine. And of course, if those are the high temperatures, let's take it to the low temperatures, because if you're a fan of those cool, crisp mornings, we're going to get that as we head into the overnight. You'll notice tonight, waking up tomorrow morning, sitting in the low to mid 40s. How about Saturday night into Sunday morning? There's going to be some spots that wake up Sunday morning in the 30s.
Yeah, we've been teasing that for a good week now. It's been looking like Saturday night would be quite chilly, and you can see, 38 Conway, 37 Bennettsville, 39 Darlington. Yeah, I love it, that fall chill in the air as we work our way into this weekend. And speaking of, let's take you into Saturday. Plenty to do. Once again here, we've got Syrup Day. Syrup Day.
I know. I just now found out about this. Apparently, they've been doing it for years, too. Outdoor festival, lots of syrup. How about also the Christmas shows starting to go in? If maybe the 60s are a little too cool for you, you can head over to the Alabama Theater or over to the Carolina Opry. Let's go to Sunday. Of course, want to talk about, we do have our first tree lighting on Saturday night, but also something that's happening all the way through December. Ripley's Aquarium Festivals of the Trees. If you've never been, fantastic there. Also, the yoga in the yard happens every Sunday. Beautiful weather for your Sunday.
All right, let's get you caught up in the tropics. And of course, it continues to be all about Sarah, Tropical Storm Sarah. And it continues to be kind of an evolving scenario as it's kind of getting bogged down here across parts of Nicaragua into Honduras. And that is good news and bad news. Bad news is it just sits there all the way through the weekend, dumping some pretty crazy amounts of rain, but that's good news in that by the time it tries to come out into the Gulf of Mexico, it's really nothing more than probably rain with a name.
Yeah, there's going to be nothing associated with it by the middle of next week other than just the leftover rain. But how about the rainfall totals, especially down in Central America, locally up to 30 inches of rain as we go into your forecast there in Honduras. So yeah, certainly going to be a big time rainmaker. And once again, it doesn't take much to get that tropical rain.
Yeah, a lot of big mountains up there, including around Tegucigalpa. I did a little geography lesson there. Yeah, Honduras, Guatemala, into Belize, some of the best snorkeling and scuba diving you will ever do in your life, right there off the coast of Belize as well as Honduras. But not going to be happening over the next couple of days with a lot of nasty weather down there. And again, flooding and mudslides going to be the big issue.
All right, let's stick to something that I know. And let's give you the first alert here. Let's talk about something that could be happening next week, maybe the coldest air of the season.
Fingers crossed for that. We're seeing what is likely going to be a pretty impressive surge of some much chillier weather coming across the eastern half of the U.S. as we head into late next week. Still some timing questions. Is it more like Thursday or Friday? Is it more like Saturday or Sunday next week? We're still kind of trying to dive into that right now, favoring a little bit of a later timing. But notice as we head into next Sunday, late next weekend, that's the weekend before Thanksgiving. We can have high temperatures down into the 50s, and that could open us up for some temperatures way down into the 40s and even into the 30s potentially as we work our way into the days before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, fingers crossed we could keep that pattern around, especially if you're a fan of some cooler weather, something we will watch for sure. Speaking of cooler weather, let's take a coast to coast shout. Start with our extremes. How about in the negatives? Fraser, Colorado, -1, yesterday's temperature.
I love it. In Catalina Foothills, Arizona, 89 degrees. That doesn't seem too bad.
Didn't,
and
honestly.
We've got a new hot spot.
In comparison, it's nice that Rio Grande is not on that. Speaking of hot spot, let's take you to some of the areas that are going to be dealing with some warmer temperatures. Let's also start with coast to coast here. You'll notice across the southeast, really not much for us. Thankfully, that system getting out of there. Saturday looks fantastic. Plenty of clear skies, maybe a few fair weather clouds down in Florida.
But overall looking good and looking pretty mild too. We'll have those temperatures in the upper 60s across most of the Carolinas, 70s and 80s down across the deep south and into Florida. As we take you off into the northeast, some unsettled weather there across parts of Maine into northern New Hampshire. Otherwise, even there, it is looking nice and quiet heading through the day on Saturday. Boston, New York City over to Pittsburgh And over into Buffalo, not looking too bad at all.
Yeah, temperature-wise, you'll notice those 40s sticking around. 46 as you go up into New York, 53 there in Scranton. Let's take you out to the Midwest. If you're thinking about maybe your college football team travels out there, that's what I think of when we talk about Saturday. You'll notice no issues for college football games there in the Midwest. Get a couple of showers in Iowa, but other than that, looking at a rather mild one. They'll take the 50s and 60s for this time of year, especially for the weekend.
Yeah, 55 in Chicago for Saturday, 59 in Des Moines, Iowa, 64 there in Lincoln, Nebraska. Let's take you down into the Southwest. And again, here too, things pretty quiet. Texas, not looking too bad at all. New Mexico, looking good. A little bit of unsettled weather there across northern portions of Arizona. Some snow showers in the high mountains there north of Flagstaff. But otherwise, that's going to be about it. And Texas, well, it's doing its big time warmth as it does. 80 in Houston and 80 in Austin, 81 for San Antonio. Cooler weather again, Flagstaff 39 with some of the snow coming down there. At least a little bit of snow in the mountains north of Flagstaff.
All right, let's take it to the West Coast, where really the only widespread weather is going to be happening across the far northwest. You'll notice that across portions of Seattle and to Portland, rain expected to move in. That will dive in and bring in some cooler weather for next week as well. You'll notice plenty of rain there up across the northwest. Temperature-wise, yeah, wide variety expected. Still have the 30s and 40s, especially higher elevations. Even some peaks there getting into the 20s and teens. But as far as highs, San Francisco, 60 degrees. Some cooler weather certainly working in as we go into the forecast there for the West Coast. So all in all, not a bad Saturday for most of the United States. All right, let's take you to a question that many of you have been asking. Is cloud seeding a real thing, and can that influence the weather or even big systems? First Alert meteorologist Matt Bullock has the answer for you on today's Whether or Not.
In this week's Fact or Fiction, does NOAA engage in cloud seeding hurricanes? Well, that is fiction, and let me explain why. NOAA does not fund or participate in cloud seeding or any other weather modification projects. Now, cloud seeding is the only weather modification used in the United States, and it's typically run by privately owned companies. It's mainly for areas in the western mountain bases to generate snowpack during the wintertime, and also used in the deserts to replenish those water reservoirs. And here's how cloud seeding works. So you have the cloud base that's thick enough to support supercooled water droplets. And these airplanes filled with silver iodide will go through these clouds, drop the silver iodide in the clouds. What this will help to do is it'll interact that supercooled water droplet and form ice. When the ice gets heavy enough, it begins to fall as snow. And NOAA in the past did engage in cloud seeding hurricanes. This was known as Project Storm Fury. Explaining what Project Storm Fury was, this dated back from 1962 to 1982. It provided support for researching on how cloud seeding would affect hurricanes. And basically the project was cloud seeding the eye wall of hurricanes. Silver iodide is attempted to reform a new eye wall. This would weaken the hurricane, but research was found unsuccessful and Project Storm Fury was discontinued, and NOAA has not attempted to modify hurricanes ever since.
And certainly some very sound science behind what has been a little bit of a controversy about how man can alter hurricanes.
Yeah, and we've talked about this on Are You Serious? There is plenty of episodes where we dive in and probably get way off topic.
Yeah.
If you want that, find us on Facebook, Twitter. I will gladly send you those links if you have any questions. Let's take it back, shall we?
Yeah.
As we go here on your Friday, let's look back in today in weather history. Jamie, you're taking us back to 2008.
Yeah, November 15th, 2008. I remember that. I was a young buck here at WMBF News. Very early morning tornadoes touched down, including an EF2 in Dillon County. Had 135 mile-per-hour winds. It was only on the ground for about 2 miles, but did cause some considerable damage. Also had another tornado that morning, an EF0 with winds around 70 miles per hour in Robeson County. That one damaged several homes. Let's go back and take you into Dillon County and show you some of the damage caused by that EF0. And again, it was pretty impressive. Winds up to 135 miles per hour.
Yeah, look at the damage here from the EF2 that was touched down, 135, like you said, nearly 2 mile track, and you'll notice the destruction that left behind. Like you said, it wasn't only Dillon County. Let's take you over to Robeson County as well as we look back, and this was some of the damage that was done to some of those buildings. And typically when you get those winds from an EF0 tornado, you see a lot of the carports and the roofs and things like that. So taking us back, and a good reminder too that it doesn't have to be in the spring to have a severe weather setup as we get into that second severe weather season.
Yeah, which is pretty common for November. And what's kind of cool is the weather histories so far this week have included snow, record cold, and tornadoes. We can get all of it during the month of November. It can be kind of a interesting month for weather around here.
Yeah, certainly when you get to that pattern of the multiple cold fronts coming through. All right, you ready for it?
Let's do it. It's happy hour time.
All right, cheers, raise them up. Friday happy hour looks like this. Let's start. Maybe a little humble brag, if you will, here. RTD and AC Awards were in Charlotte last weekend. Our podcast, Are You Serious? If you've never listened to it, you can find it right here on YouTube as well. WNBF News. We won 2 awards for that.
We did, and big congratulations to you for bringing home the award for Best Weathercaster in the Carolinas.
I learned from the best, you know. I learned from the best. Just trying to be like Jamie more and more every day. Also, so fun to get there once again and see our colleagues win. WNBF had a very successful day, and a big shout out to Anya and Sarah, who are also with us on Whether or Not, helping us out. They're also on those awards.
Radio, Television, Digital News Award Association of the Carolinas. RTD and AC.
Let's do that. It's also been a busy week. I traded roles from meteorologist to principal of the day, Waccamaw Elementary. Go Wildcats. And look, I look like I'm important there, right?
Look like you're working.
Right? Yeah, the first time ever. Really fun atmosphere. I love kids. Obviously, we got to talk weather, answer questions, do the announcements.
What?
But let me tell you what, I am not built to be a principal.
Yeah, no. No, kids are fun for like 10 minutes.
Not built to be a principal one bit. We actually dove into this and talked about what all I did on the day. You can listen to that on Are You Serious? Also talked about you going back to UNC Charlotte.
Yeah.
You can listen to that on a brand new episode right there of Are You Serious? All right, let's have a little weird conversation here. How much time is too long to sit on the toilet? How much is too long, or how long is it? Spending too much time on the toilet could be bad for your health, is what they're saying. Researchers are connecting sitting on the toilet for too long to an increased risk of hemorrhoids, weakened pelvic muscles. So that brings up the question for this Friday happy hour. Jamie, how long is too long for you?
When your legs fall asleep, it's time to get up.
There are too many people that have said that. I have never let that happen.
You've never been here long enough for your legs to fall asleep? You stand up and your legs collapse.
Just crumble? No, not at all. I said 10 minutes, 15 minutes max. Granted, we live in a scrolling age now.
I feel like that wasn't an issue before these came along.
And now?
I can waste a full day.
A day?
I've been late for work sometimes because I was busy on the John with the phone.
You know, now that I think about it, there's been some times where I haven't seen you at work. I'm like, where's Jamie at?
Yep, you know.
There it is.
Boy, this show's gone down the can today.
Oh, no pun intended. That has been this week's Whether or Not. A big thank you to you all who have maybe watched once this week, watched all 3 days this week. It takes a village, so thank you for watching us, and hopefully you're still enjoying what we're doing.
And we're going to be back next week. We're going to be looking ahead to Thanksgiving, kind of the long-term outlook on Thanksgiving, getting ready potentially, hopefully, for some of that chillier air, and we'll catch up and see if we have any more rain chances coming. Again, that's all going to be on next week's edition of Whether or Not.
All right, sounds good. Have a fantastic weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.